Assassin's Creed Free advertised its setting and overhauled technology as much as it possibly could, promising an incredible experience, as many fans were disappointed by Revelations. Featuring a Native American protagonist and a new world, does Assassin's Creed Free disappoint as well, or has the series regained its stride? You play as Connor, a Native American whose goal is to protect his tribe, among others. Unlike in Revelations, there are actual stakes this time around, as Connor's people are in constant danger and the assassins are almost insignificant in the new world. There's actual tension in the proceedings as you partake in famous battles, engage in conversation with famous figures, and even assassinate some of them. The story does fall flat whenever it focuses on the ancients and end of the world bullshit, and Connor has little personality, but overall it's still quite engaging and a significant improvement over Revelations. Of course, there are also modern day sections where you play as Desmond, as he and his team try to prevent the apocalypse. The story in these sections can best be described as straitjacket lunacy, and thanks to the fact that they try to take themselves seriously, they're outright comical. While the story is a big step forward, the gameplay is the other way around. The story missions are quite engaging, consisting of tailing, chases, fighting, and sneaking, but their optional objectives feel less like challenges and more like restraints. Even worse, failing an optional objective means the game will nag you about being able to go back and replay a mission. If I wanted constant nagging, I'd get a trophy wife. Thanks, but no thanks, Ubisoft. Fast travel stations now need to be unlocked by traveling through underground tunnels, which is exactly as fun as it sounds. The homestead missions and economy system present in Assassin's Creed Free in particular feel shoehorned in. In previous Assassin's Creed games, you would buy properties which would reward you with a certain amount of money every 20 or so minutes. Here, in order to make money, you will need to send loaded convoys from your homestead to earn money, but to make serious money, you will need to craft items using certain ingredients and the help of a homestead artisan. You can even craft weapons and consumables, though these require you to level up certain artisans, which can only be done at certain points in the game. The crafting is downright tedious thanks in no small part to the sluggish menus, and overall the game would have been better off without it. Thankfully, the traditional missions and side quests are either painless or genuinely entertaining, particularly the West Point missions where you have to uncover a conspiracy and discover some traitors. There are also naval missions in which you commandeer a ship and engage in naval battles, and these are arguably some of the best the game has to offer, so long as you don't forget to upgrade your ship before taking them on. It's just a shame that the side missions can feel redundant, as the game's intriguing story can make you concentrate on the primary mission so much that you'll flat out forget about the side quests most of the time. The multiplayer is exactly the same as in Revelations. You get the same abilities, perks, and general mechanics, though you also have an extra ability in the form of a ranged weapon. Ability crafting is also unlocked later on, which allows you to improve your existing abilities. The game is also more responsive than Revelations, thanks to more natural animation. However, the multiplayer also happens to share the same issues. Matchmaking is once again your only option, and since there is no chat functionality whatsoever, you might as well pray for victory, as everyone does what they want, making team games more frustrating than they should be. And yes, like in Revelations, a lot of players still hanging around are fully maxed out, leaving newer players at a disadvantage. You will encounter some new players at least, but that isn't much of a compensation. The biggest issue, however, is the microtransactions. By purchasing Erudito credits, not only do you no longer have to wait to earn enough Abstergo credits to unlock more abilities, but you can also unlock them ahead of time. Because who cares how good the game is when there's money to be made? It's kinda funny how the multiplayer story paints Abstergo as snakes, yet one could simply replace the word Abstergo with Ubisoft and it would be the exact same thing.
Cool, huh?
Hi, it's Stacy. You've probably never heard of Abstergo, but our family of products are totally using your home. Go in the kitchen, the bathroom, the family room, and you're bound to find stuff made by the dozens of companies found in the Abstergo.
Purchasing the deluxe edition on Steam does alleviate this issue, as it too unlocks everything without you having to work for it, but you will have to input the CD keys for the content in the main game menu manually to unlock your content, regardless of version, because apparently automation is too hard for the poor folks at Ubisoft. Hooray for Uplay. Also, the DLC unfortunately suffers from the exact same problems as the main game. There are tons of chests and secondary activities, but their rewards are trivial and their abundance is cynical. The optional objectives are as much of a nag as ever, and even worse, the story ramps the crazy all the way up to 11. When it isn't contradicting important story elements from the main game, it's making you go on sky journeys to unlock mystical abilities to help you recover the Apple of Eden from George Washington. I kind of wish I was making this shit up, because the story DLC is literally that crazy, and to top it off, it doesn't even end in a particularly satisfying manner. Put bluntly, if you intend to get this game, stick to the standard version. I can guarantee you won't miss out on much. Visually, Assassin's Creed 3 looks gorgeous. The in-game lip sync is absolutely dreadful, but otherwise there is nothing to complain about. If you have a good PC, you can easily max it out and enjoy dozens of NPCs, high-resolution textures, great effects, and a subtle day-night cycle. While Jasper Kidd has moved on to score other games, Lorne Balfe has put together a fairly good soundtrack. Voice acting is also pretty good, but whenever there's Mohawk dialogue, it's flat out painful to listen to. Everyone speaks Mohawk with a terrible American accent, and while it's hard to fault the actors for doing their best with a dying language, it's still cringeworthy to listen to. Assassin's Creed 3's single player is a massive improvement, and its multiplayer is, at best, unchanged, and at worst, even worse. The DLC can also be best described as an insult, but at least the main game is a good time. Assassin's Creed 3 is only a partial return of form for the series, but the story, or rather the exploits of Connor, are well worth your time.
Been found guilty of treason and conspiracy, crimes punishable by death.